What happens when a Hollywood star, known for her sincerity and charisma, faces a host who knows no boundaries in her provocations? This moment on The View went viral and had the world talking. Emma Stone, an actress celebrated for her roles in La La Land and The Favorite, appeared on the show to promote her new film. But no one was prepared for what happened next. Bright spotlights flooded the View studio, creating a warm yet slightly tense atmosphere. The live audience buzzed with anticipation. Tickets for this episode sold out in minutes, as Emma Stone, a rare guest whose genuine smile and wit made her a fan favorite, was expected. Cameras hummed, operators checked angles, and producers in headsets exchanged frantic instructions. The studio was alive with the energy of expectation, the sound of clicking heels, the rustle of papers on the host's desk, and the soft murmur of the audience flipping through programs. On stage sat the hosts, Joy Behar with her sharp gaze and sarcastic smile, Whoopi Goldberg, who appeared calmer but kept her distance, and Sarah Haynes and Sunny Hostin, who traded jokes to warm up the crowd. The audience, diverse in age and mood, already had their phones ready, hoping to capture something unforgettable. Emma entered the stage to thunderous applause. Her red hair gleamed under the lights, and her simple yet elegant dress highlighted her effortless style. She waved to the audience, her smile genuine but with a hint of wariness in her eyes. Taking her seat on the guest chair, she quipped, "Oh, I always get a bit nervous coming here. You guys are so lively." The audience laughed, and Sarah Haynes chimed in, "Don't worry, Emma, we only bite during commercials." Everyone chuckled, but Joy Behar merely gave a sly smile, flipping through her notes. The first few minutes of the interview went smoothly. Joy started with questions about Emma's new film, a drama about a young artist battling personal demons to achieve success. Emma answered with enthusiasm, sharing behind-the-scenes stories and explaining why the project was special to her. "This role made me think about how we all struggle with insecurity," she said, looking at the audience. "Sometimes, art is a way to say what we're afraid to voice out loud." The audience listened, rapt, and Whoopi nodded, clearly impressed. But Joy, leaning over the table, suddenly shifted her tone. Her eyes narrowed, and her voice grew sharper. "Emma, that all sounds very sweet, but let's be honest. You play these fragile, vulnerable characters, but doesn't it feel a bit contrived? I mean, you're a Hollywood star living in luxury. Isn't it hypocritical to portray suffering when your life is red carpets and private jets?" The studio fell silent. The cameras swiveled to Emma, capturing her every move. The audience, which had just been laughing, went quiet, with a few exchanging glances as if trying to discern whether this was a joke. Sarah Haynes gave an awkward smile, and Sunny Hostin quickly added, "Well, Joy, I think Emma does an amazing job conveying emotions. That's acting." But Joy didn't back down, her smile growing more sardonic. "I'm just saying, the audience wants authenticity. Do you really understand that suffering, or is this just another Oscar bait role?" Emma took a deep breath, her fingers lightly gripping the armrest of her chair. Her smile didn't fade, but a chill appeared in her eyes. "Joy, I get that you want to dig deeper," she said calmly, but with a hint of firmness. "Acting isn't about living the character's life, it's about finding something in yourself that connects to them. I'm not pretending to know all about suffering, but I know what it's like to struggle with myself." The audience erupted in applause, but Joy merely shook her head. "Oh, come on, Emma, don't dodge the question. You recently talked in an interview about your therapy, about dealing with anxiety. But doesn't it feel like it's just trendy now to talk about mental health? Every star is suddenly so vulnerable. Is it real, or is it just PR?" The silence in the studio became deafening. Someone in the audience gasped, and others began whispering. The camera zoomed in on Emma's face, her cheeks flushed slightly, and her lips pressed into a thin line. Whoopi Goldberg, who had been silent until now, leaned forward. "Joy, maybe we should get back to the movie? Emma, tell us about your preparation for the role." But Joy raised a hand, cutting her off. "No, Whoopi, I want to know. Emma, are you really in therapy, or is this just a way to seem relatable to fans?" The producers backstage began to scramble. One, wearing a black baseball cap, whispered into his headset. "This is getting out of hand, cue the commercial." The operators frantically switched cameras, capturing Emma's reaction as she sat motionless, her gaze fixed on Joy. The audience, sensing the tension, shifted uncomfortably, with several pulling out their phones to record. Emma leaned forward slowly, her voice quiet but resolute. "Joy, I don't owe you or anyone else an explanation for taking care of my health. Therapy isn't PR, it's part of my life. And I'm not ashamed of it." Her words sparked cheers from the audience, but Joy merely scoffed. "Oh, how touching. But tell me honestly, Emma, aren't you using these stories to seem closer to people? Because, it's hard to buy your vulnerability when you're making millions." Sarah Haynes tried to intervene. "Joy, let's be fair, everyone has a right to privacy." But Joy ignored her, her eyes gleaming with challenge. "I'm just saying, the public is tired of stars pretending to be normal. You're not normal, Emma. You're Hollywood elite." Emma sat up straighter, her hands clenching into fists. Her voice, previously calm, began to tremble with restrained emotion. "Joy, you want authenticity? Here's authenticity. I'm a person who struggles with my fears, just like everyone else. And I won't let you or anyone else mock that or turn my experiences into a cheap sensation for ratings." The audience erupted in applause, but Joy didn't relent. "Oh, please, Emma, spare us the drama. You're an actress, you know how to play to the crowd." Those words were the final straw. Emma stood, her movements slow but deliberate. She removed her microphone, placed it on the table, and looked Joy straight in the eye. "Joy, I came here to talk about art, about something that brings people together. But all you want is to tear people down. I'm not playing these games." The studio froze. Whoopi opened her mouth to say something but didn't get the chance. Emma turned to the audience, her voice growing stronger, almost piercing. "I'm not ashamed of who I am. And if any of you are struggling with anxiety, depression, or anything else, you're not alone. Don't let anyone make you feel like it's a weakness." She gave Joy one last look, who, for the first time, seemed flustered, and walked off the stage, her heels clicking loudly on the floor. The sound of Emma Stone's heels clicking as she left the View stage echoed through the stunned silence of the studio. The audience sat frozen, holding their breath, while cameras scrambled to capture every moment. The operators seemed unsure whether to focus on Emma, striding purposefully toward the wings, or on Joy Behar, whose face, for the first time in the broadcast, lost its usual confidence. Her lips tightened, and her eyes darted between the audience and the other hosts. Whoopi Goldberg, who had tried to stay neutral, turned sharply to Joy. "You went too far, Joy. That wasn't necessary." The audience erupted in a mix of reactions. Some clapped and shouted support for Emma, while others whispered, shocked by the turn of events. A few held up their phones, recording a moment that already promised to go viral. A producer backstage, wearing a headset, shouted into his microphone, "Go to commercial! Now!" But the cameras kept rolling, as if sensing that this moment would go down in television history. Emma paused at the edge of the stage, as if remembering something. She turned back, her red hair flashing under the spotlights, her eyes blazing with suppressed emotion. Raising a hand, she signaled security, who were already approaching, to stop, and addressed the audience, her voice trembling but filled with strength. "I want to say something before I go. Mental health isn't a joke. It's not PR. It's not a weakness. It's part of what makes us human. And if any of you feel like you're struggling alone, know this, you're not. Don't let anyone, not hosts, not critics, not even yourself, make you ashamed of taking care of yourself." The studio exploded with applause, louder than ever. Some in the audience wiped away tears, others nodded, visibly moved by her words. Sarah Haynes stood, clapping, and even Sunny Hostin, usually reserved, looked impressed. Joy, however, tried to regain control. "Emma, no one said it was a weakness. I just wanted a real conversation," she said, but her voice lacked its usual confidence, and her signature sarcasm felt out of place. Emma merely shook her head, her gaze filled with disappointment. A real conversation, Joy, doesn't mean tearing others down for ratings. You could have asked about my film, my work, my ideas. But you chose this. She turned to the audience, her voice softening but piercing. Thank you for your support. I'm not here to play games. I'm here to be myself. With that, she left the stage for good, leaving behind a silence broken only by the sound of her footsteps and the audience's hushed murmurs. As Emma disappeared backstage, the studio descended into chaos. The audience split into two camps. Some shouted words of support for Emma, while others muttered that she'd overreacted. The cameras finally turned back to the hosts, who looked disoriented. Whoopi Goldberg took the lead, trying to salvage the situation. All right, that was unexpected. But let's respect everyone who shares their truth. We're going to commercial, but we'll be back with other topics. Her voice was calm but strained, and it was clear even she didn't know how to smooth over what had just happened. Joy sat silently, her face a mix of irritation and discomfort. She flipped through her notes, as if searching for something to redeem the moment, but her usual wit failed her. Sarah Haynes, trying to lighten the mood, said, I think we can all agree Emma is an incredible actress and person. But her words were drowned out by the audience's continued buzz. Backstage, the producers were in a panic. One, holding a phone, shouted, It's already online! The clip of her speech has 1,000 views in a minute. Another producer, with a badge reading, Show Director, gave frantic instructions. Tell the operators to focus on the audience, not Joy. We don't want it to look like we're defending her. Security, stationed near the entrance, looked confused, unsure whether to escort Emma or stay put. The moment Emma Stone walked off, the view went viral in less than an hour. Clips of her speech flooded social media, X, TikTok, Instagram. Everywhere, users shared snippets, quoting her words about mental health. The hashtag Emma Speaks Truth quickly trended, with fans praising her courage and dignity. However, not everyone sided with her. Some commenters accused Emma of being overly sensitive, arguing she couldn't handle tough questions. Others criticized Joy Behar for her aggressive style, calling her behavior toxic and unprofessional. The media seized the story, with headlines like, Emma Stone storms off the view after Joy Behar's insulting comments, and, Did Joy go too far? Some outlets praised Emma's speech, calling her a voice of a generation, while others defended Joy, arguing her job was to spark discussion. In the days that followed, The View issued an official statement expressing respect for Emma and emphasizing the show's commitment to open and honest conversations. But the statement only fueled further debate. Emma's reputation, however, only grew stronger. Her speech inspired thousands to share their own stories of struggling with mental health, and organizations supporting mental health thanked her for using her platform to combat stigma. Joy Behar, on the other hand, faced backlash, though her supporters argued she was simply doing her job, asking hard questions. This conflict left many questions. Who was right in this situation? Did Emma do the right thing by walking off, or should she have stayed to continue the discussion? Did Joy cross a line, or were her provocations justified for the sake of a real conversation? And most importantly, how can we talk about mental health in a way that respects others rather than belittles them? What do you think about this conflict? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated on stories like this. Do you think Emma was right, or did Joy have a point? Let's discuss. When Emma Stone walked off The View, her speech didn't just go viral, it sparked a global conversation. Social media exploded, #Emma Speaks Truth became the top trend, with clips of her mental health remarks racking up millions of views. Fans hailed her as a hero for her courage, while Joy Behar's critics argued she'd crossed a line. The media split, some praised Emma's dignity, others claimed Joy was just doing her job, provoking debate. Talk shows and blogs dissected the clash, with headlines like, Emma Stone's bold exit, and Joy Behar's ratings ploy backfires. Emma's words resonated deeply. Mental health advocates lauded her for destigmatizing therapy, and fans shared personal stories, inspired by her vulnerability. Joy, however, faced a backlash. Her defenders called her style tough journalism, but many viewers labeled it cruel. The View issued a statement supporting open dialogue, but it did little to quell the storm. Joy remained unapologetic, though quieter in later episodes. The incident shifted Emma's public image, cementing her as a relatable, principled star. Her film's premiere saw record buzz, partly due to the controversy. For Joy, the fallout was mixed. Some admired her boldness, others questioned her ethics. This clash wasn't just drama, it was a lesson in respect. Emma's stand showed that vulnerability is strength, not a weakness to be mocked. It challenged us to value empathy over sensationalism. Joy's approach, while meant to spark discussion, highlighted the fine line between critique and cruelty. What do you think? Was Emma right to walk off, or should she have stayed? Did Joy go too far, or was she pushing for truth? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories. How should we talk about mental health, with compassion or confrontation? Let's discuss.